stage, Nicole Raymond, BBC Radio Leeds.
Right now, I'm joined by Eliot Smith, artist director of Eliot Smith Dance, an internationally touring contemporary dance group based in the Northeast. Eliot himself is an acclaimed dancer and choreographer, and he's bringing a triple bill of dance pieces entitled AWAKEN to Bradford Cathedral on June 19th. Hi, Eliot.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, yes. Yourself?
Good, yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you, mate. Now, AWAKEN is a triple bill of performances, so can you just run us through each one very briefly and explain their backgrounds?
Yeah, sure. So we are bringing three exciting contemporary dance works. One is Artemis Clown, which is choreographed by the award-winning choreographer Rosie Kay, which explores the relationship between music and the brain. The third piece is where we're picking up where at the Rite of Spring left off, which is a title piece called After the Rite, and it's a powerful piece exploring death and resurrection. And then finally, we're bringing We Got the Beat, which is a playful and dynamic work choreographed by Maurice Causey, based in Netherlands, and it's set to music by Ligeti.
Oh, awesome. That sounds like there's a bit of everything for everyone there. That's amazing. Now, Bradford Cathedral is an incredible venue as well, and AWAKEN is a part of their centenary celebrations. So how does it feel performing in such a historic and impactful venue?
Oh, it's such an honour. Not only because we're performing in Bradford, but because we're not performing in one of those unusual theatres. As you say, we're performing in Bradford Cathedral, which this year they're celebrating the centenary year. So just even to bring a different type of movement and presence to that space will be quite captivating.
Being able to kind of bring contemporary dance and other forms of kind of communication and expression there will be something special, I'm sure.
I think what's for Eliot Smith Dance, it's normal for us to perform in unusual settings or spiritual sacred places, and that's quite been a rebound effect on our audiences, because they feel they get more from that because they see the space changing in a very different dynamic way, or they get to see the space in a different way. So it's going to be quite exciting to bring that to Bradford Cathedral.
Part of your work with AWAKEN is revisiting a piece of dance that you've choreographed in the past. So how have your pieces evolved and developed over time? I
think as a dancer, I love reviving and performing earlier works which have been made on the company, because when they were created, you are in a very different space of mind in terms of a lot of nerves for the big premiere, but also when you come back to a work, you get to put on more life experiences. You start to evolve it more, develop it more, and it brings you back to when that work was created. It makes you mature as an artist. And one particular work, After the Rite, which is a solo choreographed and performed by me, was when I created it at the Martha Graham School in 2013, and then it was premiered at St Mary's Cathedral in Newcastle. And going back to that solo, it does remind me of a lot of past memories when I was a student, being told to get your leg up in a very certain way, very different to where it goes now. So it's just bringing that environment to being yourself on stage. The work, being honest and true, is something that I love to do. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Whenever I perform like as a DJ and doing kind of more musical side of things, being able to kind of revisit the material that I've used before, but in a different way, because of like life experiences between, when you first performed it and when you're kind of reimagining it for the audience again, being able to kind of transmit that to the audience in some kind of a way is always very interesting. So that, I get you on that. It's a slightly different field. I'm with you on that for sure.
But I love how you do DJ, and that's great. that would be a very good collaboration, DJ and contemporary dance in a cathedral. We should do it.
Oh my god, yeah, okay, right, we're doing that.
That would bring the house down.
Oh my god, we're so doing that. Right, sorry, let me just compose myself a little bit now. Okay, Now, so you mentioned a piece called Rites of Spring, which is an accompaniment to the classical piece of the same name. So where do you find inspiration for your work? Do you often draw upon classical pieces?
I'm drawn very much by classical pieces of music. Since I was a young child, I've always been fascinated by classical, but I am also inspired by a mix of genre of music. But also, a lot comes from my earlier training, and I'm very much inspired by real life experiences, something that I feel like I connect to or my audience can connect to. So for example, the recent works I've been creating is a collaboration with the Royal British Legion called Poppy, and it was a work which was a collaboration with a trombonist, and we performed that work in, again, unusual settings, but we dedicated that towards the centenary of the World War One. So another work, Pitman, which was a work inspired by the Ashington Group, a group of miners who ended up being known as the Pitman Painters. And so it's a works that I like to make sure that the audiences feel like they can get something from it too, not just a piece of a joyful piece of movement of dance, but also they can be educated and see themes in a very different way. Because I believe art, dance, music can have the power to transform people's lives as it has with mine.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm with you on that as well. Getting a lot of similarities across like the different kind of creative genres. So I'm with you on that for sure. Now, how did you discover your love of dance?
When people ask this question, it always feels like it's the Billy Elliot story. But I try not to say much on that. It really was down to, I've always loved to move. I'm very proud to say in terms of dyslexia, and I always found that movement was better for me than words. And it was just one particular Friday, my sister had bragged me into go to our local dance agency called Dance City in Newcastle. I was about 10 years old at the time, and she paid me £5 to go to this hip hop class, and I thought, what am I doing here? And I ended up absolutely loving it. And then from then I trained at Dance City CAT, the Centre for Dance Training, and I had some fabulous teachers, Neville Campbell, Julie Campbell, Vivian Wood, and naturally from there it made me naturally go to London to train at London Contemporary, and then my inspiration grew further when I just fell in love with those who don't know Martha Graham, who revolutionised contemporary dance in the 20th century.
Wow, okay.
Full stop.
Very illustrious. That must have been a very freeing experience to kind of just get stuck into this.
Yeah, I think so. And for me, being in that world, it becomes like everyone knows that world, yet they don't. Audiences who we're still bringing on new audiences who have never even heard of the word contemporary dance, and that really makes me thinking, well, where have you been? But how that can still have an impact to people. I know there's some great things happening in the Northeast. You've got Phil Douglas, who is currently directing Curious Arts, and that's about how can the LGBT community engage through the arts and how arts can impact them. And you see that also in my work Poppy, how that can impact veterans who would never ever go into a theatre or would never go into a performance space, and yet come because of the theme, and from that performance they go, that touched me this evening or touched me today, and I'm now going to go and see performances or music. So yeah, and I think we also have to be mindful of the fact, especially me being director of a company, that the audiences, to make sure that we keep growing them, because we know as audiences, it's without no audiences there is no performances, and it's also about inspiring the new generation of talent. And I'm very passionate about education, arts education, schools. It's very important, and it really upsets me when I see youngsters have talent and they can't nurture that at their school because they go through the simple syllabus of English, maths, science. Well, dance can be science, dance can be English, it can be music, it can be everything. dance is a expression of living. So.
With you on that. And you mentioned there about schools and kind of educating young people. So can you tell us more about how you use dance to impact your community?
Yeah, so we work a lot with the community, which is quite new to ESD over the past 3 years. So when I create new works, I have naturally now started to do an adaptation of the work. So if we take Pitman, for example, a work inspired by the miners I was explaining earlier, the professional work was then we allowed the community to be involved on the performance by them being part of a character. So we would go out to them. There might be ex-miners, both men and women, to be part of the show. We would also go to schools and colleges and give them workshops to invite them and educate them within that particular theme. And we also recently just set up Youth Eliot Smith, which is a youth company aimed at boys in the Northeast between the age of 10 to 16, where if they feel like dance is new for them or they want to ground break their work further, they can come and do so in a very professional but relaxed environment where they can do technique class in the morning, and then the afternoon look at creativity and choreography, and then perform that alongside the professional company. So everyone, a mixed range of community, are having an experience of what it's like to be a dancer.
That's amazing. I think, more kind of inclusion and just being able to just say to young people and, people of all ages really, like, it is possible to experience contemporary dance.
I totally agree with you on that. And finally, just to mention that a lot of those who... a lot of people might think that I've been brought up in a very art type of family. In fact, I'm not. Again, come from a council estate, but to understand when I was explaining I wanted to be a dancer and get to know art or go to museums, they looked at me very strangely. Now they're very supportive towards that. And they love what I do, but in a way, I'm educating them to see how art and dance and music can transform me, and they love that. They're being educated through dance. And I think what's most important, I didn't mention earlier, after the rite, it being performed at Bradford Cathedral, is even having the power of a live organist is going to be performing alongside after the rite, and that's going to be quite special. So again, those who are coming to the performance because of dance, but those who are coming because they have a spirit, a belief, or they might be coming because they enjoy music, so the live organist. So
that's amazing. Okay, well, what are the future plans for you and AWAKEN?
I think what we're looking at the moment is how we can tour outside of the Northeast. One of the predicaments that's happening in a lot of arts organisations, not just dance, but also museums and libraries, that funding is very difficult. And one thing that we've noticed at ESD, and listening to our audience, is very important, that they say you haven't come to London since 2013, or you haven't come to even Leeds. We're using Bradford as our highlight for Leeds. So it's trying to see how we can adventure out of the Northeast so that we can expose we have some brilliant works choreographed by by Rosie Kay and Maurice Causey, which is coming to Bradford, but we've even commissioned choreographers from Maggie Bougard, based in Paris, Lorenzo Begano, who's a soloist with Martha Graham. So we have so many shows and productions on offer that we want everyone to see. There is a lot of things and a lot of projects gearing up for our 10th anniversary, which is coming up at the end of 2020. So we do have a lot of exciting projects to come up soon. So keep an eye out.
Oh, I certainly will. Well, Eliot, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As we've been saying, Eliot Smith Dance presents AWAKEN. It's a triple bill of bold and exciting contemporary works presented in partnership with Bradford Cathedral as part of their centenary celebrations, which is in collaboration with Bradford's Sangam. So if you want to find out more about the show and book tickets as well, then just head over to calasangam.org. All the information will be there. And Eliot, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, they can find us on the basics of Facebook at Twitter, Instagram at Eliot Smith Dance, and it's Eliot with 1 L, 1 T. And don't blame me, blame my mother for that spelling. Yeah.
That was out. That see, I didn't say that. Eliot was Eliot was the one that said that. So okay, I'm just saying.
I love my mum so much. And my dad.
Very good save. Very good save. Eliot, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Backstage, Nicole Raymond, BBC Radio Leeds.